focus groups. Career site. There's no reason why you can't put feedback on the career site. Do you like our career site? How could it be improved? You know, and look for that as far as maybe some feedback from them. And a resource for those of you on the call that want a quick way to be able to start measuring this is I'd make it a very simple survey of 5 questions, but you can use SurveyMonkey, a great little free software, survey software that will allow you to start running these surveys immediately. And then finally, as I kind of close up my area here, is if you build it, they will come. And you know, this is the shot of Field of Dreams there, but essentially is if you build a great employment brand and you build a great experience and you make sure that there's lots of different ways that people can interact with your brand and learn from you, then you will be successful. The line at the bottom there, and there's a bit of a formatting issue, but the true test of a positive candidate experience is when someone can go through your recruiting or hiring process, not get hired, and still be willing to refer people into your organization or say that they love your company. And I think that's a great test of what works. I've got one final survey poll here, and I just want to pull this up. And the survey is finally, I want you to please rank the current candidate experience your organization provides, and I'm going to launch that poll here now. Okay, we've got okay, so here it is. Of the very good, good, poor, and very poor, nobody said very good and nobody said very poor. 80% of you felt like you provided a good candidate experience, and about 20% of you felt like you provided a poor candidate experience. So I'm just going to shut down the poll here. And with that being said, as Jerry mentioned at the start, there's an ability to go put questions in. If you open up the panel, the little red button again, you'll see the questions down the bottom right-hand side. And I encourage you to be, ask lots of questions. We've got a little bit of time here, and we hope to be able to answer them all. So thanks very much, and I'm going to pass it back to Jerry.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Cameron, and thank you all for being on the call. We'd love to answer some of your questions, and we're getting a few popping in here. And keep in mind, too, after the question and answer, if you want to stay on the line for a few more minutes, Andy Jones, our Director of Business Development, is going to be on the line to just show a little bit more about Minefield and talk a little bit about why organizations are choosing RPO. So one of the first questions, or the first question here that's popped up is, I think you prompted some questions about Twitter when you were showing some of the Twitter examples. But the question is, does it require a lot of time and resources to monitor our brand on Twitter? So does it require a lot of resources and time to monitor our brand on Twitter, and who in the organization should be doing that? Cameron?
Yeah, that's a great question. It doesn't necessarily take a lot of time. I think the decision you need to make is, are you in a spot that you're monitoring? Is fairly simple. You can go to, as I mentioned, a site like Hootsuite or a website like Hootsuite. You can get questions that are coming, you can get feeds that are coming through on people who are commenting on you. So it's simple to monitor. It's a commitment on whether or not you want to engage. And the people that should do this, we find this a lot, is should it be a recruiter, should it be an HR person, should it be someone from marketing? Whoever it is, you need to make sure that it's very clear and understood whose job that is, because if it's a series of people's jobs, you're going to run into issues. It takes very little time to set up the proper infrastructure to go and listen to what's going on in your brand, and that can also help provide some great insight for you. We find that social media outsourcing is becoming a fairly hot topic right now. It's something that organizations are aggressively looking at. Resources, not a lot of resources to pull off because a lot of the systems are set up for you to listen very effectively. That the engaging in the discussions can somewhat be a bit of a challenge. But if someone's going to do it, I'd highly recommend you hire a social media strategist or a social media community manager, or you go look at potential outsourcing options.
Okay, thanks, Cameron. Next question is, it's just asking for a clarification. So you mentioned an online job description resource. It was, I can't remember what it was either, Cameron, ONET or something like that. Can you confirm what that was?
Yes, it's actually the United States. It's a tool. They've got. It's called ONET. It's a massive database of standard job descriptions, skills, requirements, behaviors related to thousands and thousands of standard jobs. And I know they've got a fairly well built out retail section. So yes, it is ONET, and it's a great little tool. It's great. It's a great place to start anyhow. And the Canadian one that I did mention. It's not as chunky as ONET. The ONET one is very U.S.-based content, but it's still very applicable, and HRDC's also got some content on there as well.
Great. Thanks again, Cameron. Okay, well, we are running out of time here, so I'm going to cut off the questions there. I just want to remind you that this presentation will be posted on our website, mindfieldgroup.com, as will part 1 in the next couple of days or in the next day. And I just want to, at this point, thank you again for coming online this morning with us. And I'm going to turn it over to Andy Jones, and he's going to share with you a few more thoughts on RPO and the Mindfield solution. Over to Andy.
Thank you, Jerry. And thanks everybody for attending today. For those that are still left to listen to the sales pitch sort of at the end, I'm actually not going to make it too much about that, but as the Business Development Director, and I share that role with Jen Summers, Jen and I literally have hundreds of conversations, and we sort of help navigate our customers through this journey to sort of outsourcing their recruitment. So I thought it might be beneficial if I sort of summarized some of the reasons that our customers choose to outsource, because we're constantly talking to operations and HR executives, and I thought it might sort of benefit those on the call. So as far as what those are, and these are no particular order, by the way, this is not a David Letterman list, but the 5 appear on the screen right now. Challenge is hiring great people quickly. And there's sort of 2 dimensions to that. There's sort of the quality aspect of it, the great people. But then there's the quickly, which is particularly important to retailers who are staffing sort of a store network. So so one of the 2 is troubling our customers, and that's one of the reasons they're looking at outsourcing. A second one, particularly with senior HR executives, is inconsistent recruitment processes. So if you think of a 200 store chain, the thought of 200 different recruitment processes and 200 profiles and just literally following different interview questionnaires and steps drives HR executives crazy, and it really poses a lot of challenges, as Cam alluded to earlier, for the candidate experience and so on. A third obvious one, particularly from an operational and HR point of view, is that hiring managers at the front line and HR central staff are spending far too much time recruiting frontline staff. And this sort of comes up continuously in our discussions with customers. Another one I actually just heard yesterday, lack the skills to access future talent. I was meeting with a VP of operations with a large paint and coatings company who's very afraid that while they're staffed according to their needs right now, where is he going to access the people he needs 3 to 5 years from now, given that where all these sort of sourcing strategies are being fractured and there's just so many options that weren't there before. And finally, I guess one of the other ones is the delivery risk, the transfer of it from yourself to your recruitment partner. No matter how you look at it, you've got to staff your frontline stores, store manager positions, and so on. So either you're doing it yourself and you're assuming the risk of that delivery yourself, or you're partnering with a company and that's sort of a contractual commitment that outsourced partner provides. So give that some thought. And then finally, I thought it might be sort of instructive just to sort of quickly run through our recruitment process. And maybe as we do it, think about your own process and think about the components of yours, and if you've covered sort of this best practice process. So I guess Cam would sort of agree with this, that it all sort of begins and ends with sourcing. It's the fuel that makes the engine run, really. And without it, you starve the engine of fuel. So we're sourcing literally 24/7, 365 on behalf of our customers. We're using every tool at our disposal just to make sure that that the candidates are coming in at the top end of the process. And it's important that that's done literally pre-vacancy. Because we contractually commit to our customers that we're going to deliver candidates in a certain period of time, it's important that we have those people ready before the vacancy actually starts. But just to sort of quickly run through it, and I won't spend a lot of time on any one of these because any one of them might be a webinar on its own. Literally, a vacancy appears in your store network. Sorry, we're just having what we do is we provide some hiring manager support in the form of a web portal where that vacancy can be sort of logged. That does a number of things. It alerts our team to the fact that there's an opening. It also immediately updates a careers page. Cam mentioned earlier, it's very important to drive all the traffic from that sourcing to your careers page. So we follow that. Obviously, when that's done, our team have been working on it. In the background, we've already got a profile, so we know what we're sort of targeting against. We conduct application pre-screen and shortlist preliminary candidates. At that point, we phone screen the candidates. And as I said, there's nothing unique about this. I think the important is sort of the rigor with which you follow it. Automating some of these processes so it removes a lot of that administrative burden. When candidates are pre-screened for best fit, they're then the hiring manager portal in step 2 is updated with those candidates. So literally the hiring manager goes to that portal, sees the candidates that have been presented. We absolutely do not eliminate your choice of hire. It's important that you don't lose control of that. We're just literally doing all the steps in between. And then to close the loop, the hiring manager portal, sort of where it all started in step 2, gets updated by the hiring manager that they've in fact hired a candidate. That does a number of things. It allows us to update the careers page, which is important to the candidate experience. The other important thing, a couple things, is if you have an HRIS system, a Human Resources Information System, linked to payroll and things like that, we can integrate with those systems. And secondly, it provides a huge amount of visibility into how the whole recruitment process is working. I can't tell you how many customers Jen and I talk to that don't have this kind of visibility. They don't have the metrics about how many open positions they have across their store network. They can't tell you how long it takes to hire, why they're having a problem in Alberta but not in Ontario, and so on. So that sort of completes the process, and I would be happy to share. This is a 1-minute version of something that could take an hour, and it needs to be adapted to each client's particular needs. So this is just literally an overview. So Jen and I are often asked, okay, how do you do it? How can you guys do 10,000 hires a year? And we're having trouble with our 200 kind of thing. So that gives you sort of a little flavor for it without actually going into the details. If you would like any more information, by all means reach out to me at andy.jones@mindfieldgroup.com. I promise not to be too salesy. We really do like to consult with our customers, and we'd be the first to say if we don't think it's a fit, because this is not for everyone, but for those that it is right for, it can work very well. So thanks again for your interest and participation. We hope to see you on the next call. Thanks very much.